I know, man.
Right, who's doing the intro this time?
Well, I think you used to.
Do you want me to
Go
switch?
Jordan again.
Do you want me to switch? Do you want to?
No, you be the guy. This is your baby.
Right, okay. My baby. I've got a couple of babies.
Wow.
Have you?
Well, no, I've got one human baby.
and
I've
then
got
Bear.
one fur baby. These are my babies. This is my baby. Babies. This thing on? Oh, let's go. Welcome back to the No Rep podcast. With Fanny and
Bing
Fevin.
bong.
Evan.
Danny and Evan, as always. And today we're going to just again shoot
He
the
actually
shit.
didn't mean that. That just,
No, I totally
he
did.
said one big word. And
That was in the last week in the cyberspace world. Today we're just going to chat. I don't know, shoot the shit again probably. Chat a little fitness, little conspiracies. For those of you watching on YouTube, shout out YouTube. Thanks. I hope you're also subscribed. You know, there's a lot of yous out there. How many? Like 13 or something like that. we're gonna speak some conspiracies, right? Now, the conspiracies that we share are things that we do believe in, right? Now, just to make it a little bit funny, we're gonna speak with a tinfoil hat on, just to fucking add a little bit of spice to it.
And we will need.
This is one that Jordan actually had in his house. He didn't make this today. This is one he
Aye.
brought with him.
Do you not have one at home?
Oh shit.
How do you protect yourself from the 5G that's cutting about? So I'm going to kick things off, right? I'm going to kick things off with a conspiracy that I believe in. So it's about TikTok,
Ooh.
right? TikTok is Chinese, right? And essentially in China, I realise how fucking stupid this is. In China, what the algorithm favours to young people who use the app is things that are positive, right? Things like engineering, things like building things, promoting positivity, lots and lots of like cool things that they would want the younger generation to do growing up, right? And
Let's see if this is going to like it.
over here, right, what does the algorithm favour in the Western society, whether it be UK, Europe?
Liver.
It favours doing stupid dances. It favours, people fucking being half naked. It favours shite. So ultimately that rises to the top over here, but over there it doesn't. So the conspiracy is, what are China doing? What's China's motive to have the algorithm favour this sort of stuff over in the UK and over in America, whereas over in China it favours things that are ultimately going to help the younger generation, whereas the stuff over here ultimately doesn't.
What's the agenda?
What is the agenda? Why would they do it?
So you try to say that they're deliberately trying to dumb down the West.
Yes,
That's exactly what you're saying.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable. Like, but
Why would they do it?
why?
This is a debate.
Well, that is up for debate. Do you know what I mean? If there's other things, but what are China's motives? Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it could just be? Yeah, I'm maybe not as into that conspiracy as you. But do you know, it could just be like a kind of based on values. That's obviously like,
That's what they value over there, whereas over here we value people doing stupid dances.
dancing in fucking reels.
But then could that change through what you push it?
Yeah, like the amount of stuff that's going out. What's that? We're being robbed.
China.
Aye, so it's like, what would be the reason for doing that? Do you think? Like,
It's either
understand.
this is the thing. It can either be two things. It's either just what you're more interested in from the West, or is it just because that's been pushed we're interested in that?
Yeah,
I do not know.
Do not know. And again, that's another thing as well. Like, would you sit on TikTok for hours and hours and hours if it was just constantly people building things and engineering and this, that, and the next thing? Probably not.
No.
So like, why is that the thing that's positive over there? Another fact as well, that in China they produce more engineers per year than America has engineers.
Wow.
Wow.
That's wild.
So that's my conspiracy.
Mm.
Who's that?
Who's next with the tinfoil hat? Me?
Sounds you're close.
'Cause I'm close? Right, okay. Right,
I don't know what's going to fit your head.
Your massive heat. I just realised how fucking stupid that looks, man.
Are you trying to say that I've got a big
That was
dome?
you. That was your second.
I know it was, wasn't it?
Well, my conspiracy's slightly darker than that. We're going to go from TikTok to I think Diana was an inside job, or it's not what they led us to believe in the media and stuff. Like Princess Di was obviously the people's princess.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
totally.
Like she was popular, she was all these things, but she kind of went against the norm for the royals and stuff. And it's not unlike the British monarchy and whatever to do dodgy things.
Yep.
It's kind of what they do.
That's kind of what they do.
It's kind of their thing.
I was just about to say shout out Prince what's his face, but that's fucking no, can't do that.
You did. And, but it's not unreasonable to think that they went, right, because the thing is, a bit like the mafia, right? They don't want to be disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
So Di was off with, was it Doddy?
I don't actually know.
Daddy?
Doddy
Fire,
Aye.
right? And or whatever, and all this stuff was happening, and there's obviously stuff came out with it that it was just a normal crash, or it was the driver was drunk, or there's all these moving parts and spinning objects and whatever. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that. I don't know if it was Lizzie, it might have been Charles, right? Right?
Who knows?
One of them, right?
Aye.
Went, right, this needs to be.
Aye, cut ties with
A
us.
bit like Vito Corleone from The Godfather.
I'm on board with that. I think that's 100%. It just smells fish. It doesn't smell right. It's dodgy.
It's like she was beyond control, so it was like, right, hold on a minute.
They didn't have her under control.
Beyond
Well, you seen that
control.
with what's her chops, Meghan and Harry, like totally kind of distancing themselves from
there was
the
a
royal
lot,
family
a
as well.
lot of kind of parallels with it. Is that the word I want to use? Kind of
Apparently what was one of they've not outed which royal it was, but they said that they didn't want brown grandchildren and they didn't want brown
That's ridiculous.
what was it, our family members or something like that in there. Like that came out, I
I
believe.
think Megan,
Fact checked me on that. Like
it was on Oprah.
I think it was on that Oprah documentary
I think
where,
so,
where
right.
they said that, and it's like think how fucking old fashioned that is, and like just how like twisted it is.
Fuck it, it's mental. But like these, I don't know. It's a totally different world for us because we would never resonate or be able to relate to that because none of us come from royalty or money or whatever.
Try to tell me West Mains isn't royal.
West means royal.
Can you cut your finger?
I can't cut my fingers. But so none of us imagine we
Shout
were in,
out Ali
and I'm
G.
not sticking up for them by the way at all. But then I'm just trying to look at it from there. I'm not saying you can just kill people or whatever. Right, but I'm talking more about your comment about that. So they obviously have this persona or whatever that they need to live up to and their standards or whatever that have been embedded into them for years and years and years. Like, oh, this is bad. You can't do that. You can't do that. So that's obviously their world and their reality.
Because she was going against it. It's like,
And she's different. But then I think like having a monarchy and stuff is totally outdated.
yeah.
I think so too.
What is the need for it?
Did they not say? So
Well,
see, back
apparently
in
it brings in tourism every year. That's what they say. Right, the amount of money it brings in tourism. That's what people will say.
people are still going to come to the country.
Yeah.
Like I've never been. Do you know what? I'm going to book a holiday to Norway to go see the King of Norway or a Norwegian palace. Like never once in my life has that been a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I better cancel the ticket for your birthday.
Fuck's sake.
I know, man. You waited to fucking ruin a surprise.
Speaking
Evan.
about birthdays, I am the big 3-0 next week.
Let's go, man.
That means I'm
You
exactly half Danny's age.
Mate, yous are all so old. It's mad. Am I the only person that's still in their teens?
Yes.
Well, you are mentally.
We're in our 20s.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got any other points for that, but no.
That's a fair point.
The Queen's a lizard. Sorry, that was no.
Okay, cut that out.
No.
You can't say that.
No.
Of course you can.
And no, but it's so funny that I went to college with a boy, right? And,
Mate, we're going to have fucking China and the British monarchy bust through that door.
No. Shout out Davy McKenna from Largs College in the Porter Cabin. And
Big Dave.
Big Davy McKenna from Beath. Mad into his conspiracy.
Was he?
Oh, like every single day in college, we'd be sitting doing work and stuff, and he'd just stand up and go, "The Queen's a lizard."
The first time I heard this was from you telling me about him saying
him
that, and I was like, what?
Saying the thing.
I said the thing, man.
That's madness.
And Danny, would you like the
Aye.
hat?
The hat?
I cannot wait for this one, man. I think we've saved the best till last.
You look ridiculous.
It's comfortable.
Is it? Does it feel right on? Does it feel right?
Do you feel protected
feels
from
right.
the rays?
Yeah, actually, I feel smarter.
Have the voices stopped?
No.
They've only got louder.
It's amplified.
It's quieter now, so I can hear them louder. Kill him. All right. Okay. Kill him. Right.
What's your conspiracy, Darren?
So my conspiracy is how we got to the moon originally. When we got to the moon originally is bullshit. It's bullshit.
Right.
So I don't believe we went when we said we did, and I don't believe that the pictures.
When was it? 1969.
Right.
Do you think we have been there though?
I believe we've been there. How? Or like either when we get there or how we get there, we don't. Is wrong. It is a lie. Sorry. So when they said we got there, like the fact that they said that okay, this is the footage from us in the moon, this is the pictures. We did not have the technology back then to do that, man. I just don't believe we did. If we did, like if they did have a technology that they actually used, because there's a good chance that it's just because they did have a technology, it was too much for us to handle that time, so they staged it out over the years. They didn't want to show us the technology they had, so they made it look like they've done stuff in this wee computer. They just used like black and white footage up there to get video and the pictures and all the rest of it. I'm like, you're trying to tell us that with that limited technology, you got to a man on the moon through Earth's orbit, through the Van Allen belt.
Mate, this looks fucking amazing with that hat on.
Through the Van Allen belt.
I have heard
like
about that.
all of this past satellites.
Do you
like
think about this a lot?
right to the moon, no harm done, off onto the moon, get some videos, get some pictures, like
Chucked
and
up
then
a chucked up a TikTok.
right?
Done a dance.
All of this stuff, you're like, I just cannot see it. But did they get there differently with better technology?
Well, definitely, as in what they took the fucking
No,
the
so
number 6 night bus up
So
there
that like
instead of rocket
number
ship.
18.
Aye.
so this is when it comes back to like, okay, what technology have they had? Can they get there now? No doubt in my mind, because the technology is so much more advanced. So in my mind, I'm like, right, okay, cars hadn't been on the road, well, 60 odd years they'd been on the road, 65 years, whatever. But by that point, like air, like how they flew and all the rest, it was so limited, and then all of a sudden they're getting someone into space. It's like,
well, there was a whole what was a space race, wasn't it? There was a space race between Russia and between the US, and it was like
Russia chucked up a dog.
Who's going to get there first? Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a dog.
Damn.
The dog went up first. Didn't come back.
yeah. So I believe
They didn't know how to reverse.
yeah, by the way,
Too good.
shout
man.
out Tilly. Tilly can walk backwards for ages.
Really?
Oh, really?
Aye,
Danny's dog.
Danny's dog.
she can walk backwards. She's a smart dog, man.
Aye.
Aye. So that's my conspiracy. What's your thoughts on it?
I was in your camp up until I started trying to Google it last night, and then
Last week he was saying to me,
I was in the camp. I was in your camp. I had the biggest tinfoil hat on ever, and then I was looking into all the Valhalla belt, and I seen an analogy where it's like almost like walking on like coals or fire. Like if you walk through it quickly, you're not going to get damaged by the fire, but if you're in it for a long period of time, then you get damaged. Like there was lots of these wee things that you're saying, how they just kind of quickly debunked them and stuff like that. Now I'm open to the fact that there's probably conspiracies behind, like. They said that they've lost some of the, what's it called? Some of the data that they had back then. Or, they had some of the things that helped them get there, they've lost. And I find that very hard to believe, that the fact that
Something so
NASA,
special, so like valuable, they're going to just misplace a lot.
NASA used to actually explore the seas. The majority of their, like they used to explore the sea before exploring space, because only like 2% of the sea has been explored or whatever. But then they've changed.
And this is the thing as well, but there is so much space, like. So they can't get to
there is so much
they can't get to certain depths of the ocean, and they've only explored so much of it. They've only explored so much of volcanoes and all the rest of it, but they can get a man that quickly.
You hate how a man's been in space, don't you?
No, but I believe it's happened, but I just believe how it happened when it happened.
How it happened when it happens is a bit shady. Yeah,
shady.
like the moon landing was in a studio on fucking Paramount Pictures.
See, the thing is as well, man, there's defos always stuff that they didn't tell us. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Always.
Governments hide shit.
They
That's
do.
literally what they do.
They do.
Yep.
They do.
There's another conspiracy I heard, and it was about a guy who managed to find out a way or engineer a way that cars could run on water. Have you seen this?
Yes.
So basically, I need to try and find the kind of crux of it to get the details, but he basically had the recipe in order for this to happen, how he could convert water into energy and use it to power vehicles. And this is fucking huge, because water is so readily available.
Do you want that?
Go on then.
Go on then. You want some?
So this guy could figure out how to convert water into energy to power cars, right? And essentially it started coming out that things were getting lost. He then, like, in a weird way was killed, died, was killed, died, whatever.
Suspicious circumstances.
And then all the things, the drawings, engineering books, everything that he had to kind of detail how it works, vanished. Now, I found that a little bit shifty because you consider how big is the oil industry. Like, it's massive. Fucking, it costs like 65 quid to fill up Katie's Nissan Micra. A Micra, bruv. 65 quid.
It's ridiculous.
It's madness, mate. It's absolute madness. So, like, the amount of money that's in oil, the amount of money that's in fuel. So if you're telling me that some man them down the road can get cars to run off water,
Yep.
like,
Am I right in saying that the amount of water in the world never changes? Like, so it's a constant amount. Do you know what I mean? So, like, through... I might be absolutely wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that in, like, in science. Like, so obviously because through, like...
Would that make sense? When
If there was more, then
where would it come from?
Do you know what I mean? I don't mean like creating more, but I mean like, you can't get rid of it because it's always going to get back into the atmosphere.
Back in the atmosphere somewhere?
yeah,
Like, it would evaporate, isn't it? And then
it's just like
that
constant,
makes sense, wouldn't it?
whoa.
Wild.
And
So
if
there
you
you go.
heard-
So then that mean if you could power your cars through water, then there's an endless supply of water.
Yeah.
Meaning there's an endless supply of energy.
Yeah.
Meaning that how are you meant to charge for an endless supply of energy? Where obviously, like, oil or whatever, a fossil fuel's finite. Like, there's
Yeah.
finite, is that the right word?
Finite's good word alert.
Good word again. Two good words.
Wow.
So
that
have, you,
hats make you smarter.
have you heard as well about the guy who created paint that wouldn't need to be like replaced? It was like paint. It was like indestructible. Like it didn't.
Aye.
A way back.
No.
It's your story. I don't know his name.
Is that it? I thought you were going to go into
I thought there was more
I thought there was,
debt.
I thought
Obviously,
there was
actually,
more to that.
if there was paint that just lasted and did the
Yeah.
chip.
But see the thing, like, see, I don't know if I believe in the Illuminati or anything like that. Right? Give me the hat. Give me the hat. Right.
I fucking love this hat, man.
But I don't know if I believe in the Illuminati or that, right? But I do believe that there's big powers in the world that run it, like Big Pharma, the banking families, like the Rothschilds and all that.
Yes.
Like,
There's more to it than what we know.
absolutely.
There's more to it than what we know.
Don't
for
be a
sure.
sheep.
And we
People,
don't know because we don't know because we don't need to know.
And what the fuck do we know? We tell people to do burpees for a living. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are we meant to say?
Right, hat's coming off.
I know, right? Are we done on conspiracies? I think
How long have we been running?
people have definitely tuned out by now. Not long, like 15 minutes or something like that. Like, people have definitely tuned out by now. So if you're still here,
We'll
shout
bring
out.
conspiracies back. So we've all got a few more. haven't
We can have that can be like in the back pocket, and we'll bring that up a
I
little
think
bit.
mine was too dark. Was that all right?
Nah, man, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it started to get a bit out of hand when we're calling the Queen a lizard and all that.
No, I didn't. Davey McKenna did.
Shout out Davey McKenna.
Davey
Now, I want to talk about this. Could be potentially quite a controversial episode, but I want to speak on maybe a couple of things that have been in the news and things like that recently, and that is like transgender athletes and transgender athletes competing in sports and things like that. And there's been a few cases where we've seen potentially there was Laurel Hubbard, I think her name was, the weightlifter from New Zealand. I think she's like 30 or 40, whatever. As a transgender athlete competing in the female division, used to be a male, and is running ahead and kind of winning things, setting records, and putting people out of Olympic spots or Commonwealth Games spots. And it's a very, very kind of it's a risky area. It's a risky area to talk about, and I've spoke about it on my Instagram before. And fucking mate, the amount of people that were messaging me, whether that be in total agreement or total hate and being like, "You're a fucking asshole for saying that." I had that a couple of times, and I'm open to people's thoughts and opinions. However, I share the thought and opinion that it's not right for the sport. It's not right for women's sport. And it's not that it's not right for a transgender athlete to be transgender. That's not what I'm saying. Anyone can do whatever they want as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, right? I don't give a fuck what you do. But when it comes to, there is another example that comes to mind that's relatively recent. I'm going to pull up here from the gram, see if I can find this. But it was about a swimmer. So transgender NCAA swimmer Leah Thomas was ranked 462nd as a male and is now ranked number 1 as a female. She smashed records and has won the NCAA National Championship. So NCAA National Championship's the thing that happens in college in America, and it's humongous. Like the NCAA, like
College sports are
college
huge.
sports are fucking huge in America, and the money behind it is insane. And the thing about this one specifically, you know, because there's so much that you could speak on this, but Leah still has male genitalia, so that's what she's got a bobby still, which it speaks for itself in the levels of like how much advantage you truly have ultimately, because you are still a male at that stage, right? Biologically, right? Now, I totally understand that individual wants to identify as a female, and there's nothing. Let's get that crystal clear before MD comes out and tries to fucking cancel us. Let's get that clear. Like you can be whatever you want, but there comes a fine line where if you want to identify as something and compete in a sport where there's set rules, regulations, things that you need to abide by, that's when lines are crossed, in my opinion.
It's a bit of a grey area, and I would see, because unprecedented, because it's only kind of happening in recent years, really.
Yeah.
So it's like it's ground that's not really been trodden on, I suppose. I'm probably of the opinion of let them compete, right? 100%, like defos, but because if someone's had like an advantage, say for the years up to them making that transition, then that needs to be accounted for, so then other people can't lose their place, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of saying maybe allow them to compete and then make extra spaces if possible. Do you know what I mean?
Because that is what's happening, is people are being missed out of slots for championships, and records are being broken ultimately as well. And it's like these records have maybe stood for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And then all of a sudden they're being absolutely demolished, you know, by seconds, not by milliseconds. Normally if a record's broken in a race, it's by milliseconds, you know. Fastest man in the world, next fastest man in the world, if it ever happens in our lifetime, is not going to beat it by 3 seconds. It's going to be 0.2 second. And for someone to then come through and then be absolutely just blowing things away, it's just, I feel in a way, again, might get cancelled for this, but it's my opinion, is that it's bad for women's sports. You know, I've got a daughter now. It's mad to say, right? She's obviously going to be a Wimbledon champion one day, right? That's set in stone. So she can pay for me in case retirement. And if she's coming up and she's playing against Leah, who was ranked 400th in the world as a male, and then comes into the female division and is demolishing it, and you know she's not went through a full transition yet as well, which is another big thing. I think it's just not right. It's not right, because it's like, what else can you then do to sports? Like where, because for me, sports have always been, there's a winner, there's a loser. You've scored a goal, you've not scored a goal. You've made the basket, you've not made the basket. You're in this division, you're in that division. That's what sport's all about to me. There shouldn't be any grey area in sport. Yeah. That's fundamentally like that's what there is.
Had a kind of integrity with it as well. Do you know what I mean? Good word.
Yeah, good word. I don't know if I'll give you that.
No, okay.
I don't know. What about you? Would you give him that, Danny?
It's just a word on it.
Oh, damn.
God damn.
But because they're always like talking about the kind of spirit of sport and whatever, like throughout rugby stuff, they're all spirit of sport, integrity, blah blah blah. And I suppose it's, I don't know, maybe soiled that a little bit. I don't know. But the next 10 years will be interesting.
Yeah, see how it develops.
I would say when the full transition has happened, then the debate's different. Then it's like, right, okay, well, there's been a full transition. The hormones are different now.
There is a little bit.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
Things
definitely.
are different now. Like,
I do agree, but there's still the advantage that individual could have had for 30, like Laurel Hubbard, for 30 plus years being a male, having like the advantages that having more testosterone in your body has is mad. And I think one of the things as well was when you do compete, your testosterone levels can be that of, my figures might be wrong here, but like 4 or 5, maybe even 10 times that of what a female competitor's would be. So if a female competitor was to take testosterone, right, which is against the rules, would still have the same testosterone levels of that transgender athlete now. So then it's like, right, well, fucking hell, how do we balance that? How do we even the playing field here? Like, how does that work? And again, I'm not against them competing at all. I'm not against anybody competing, because everybody should have the right to compete. I just don't know what the answer is to allow everyone to compete.
Man
to figure that out.
It's also just not our decision to make. We are just mere observers.
Luckily, it's not, because we're all fucking idiots with their tinfoil hats. So what the fuck do we know? Do you know what I mean?
Probably just stop listening to us actually, like as I know.
But kind of on the topic of like, we kind of spoke about it last week on performance enhancing. I seen another thing where the Major League Baseball have stopped testing for steroids.
MLB's been rife. MLB, listen to me.
I know.
MLB has been
Since
rife.
Day-Dot.
It
Oh,
was
100%.
rampant.
It's actually
Day-Dot.
like probably the sport that you
Aye.
would associate doping with. I think.
Between that and cycling, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, between that and cycling is probably
Absolutely.
like synonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you that. Yeah.
It's synonymous with, performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, totally. Have you ever watched the documentary on Netflix, Icarus?
It's phenomenal.
Bro.
It's
Brilliant.
mad.
If
That
he's-
takes turns that you did not anticipate,
Aye,
man. You're
yeah.
like,
That's a fucking. I urge everybody to go watch Icarus. Shout out Icarus.
Shout out.
Guy was on Joe
Icarus.
Rogan actually. In fact, he made another documentary about the killing or the murder that happened in the was it the Saudi embassy?
Maybe.
really?
Anyway,
Same guy?
It was the same guy.
Is he a journalist? Is that, is that
Well,
what he
yeah,
is?
he's a journalist.
Is that what he is? He is a
Well, he's a
journalist.
cyclist, a journalist. That documentary's insane.
Yeah.
Wild.
What were we going to say about it?
I'm not right you saying he'd done
Just the fact that it was mad.
See, even though he went on steroids, sorry, he went on, did he not just do the exact same time that he'd done previously?
No, I think it bumped him up a couple of places.
Did it?
Yeah, a couple of
Do you
places.
know, I can't actually really remember where I was going with that, right? But it's basically, I think performance enhancing drugs and all this sort of stuff is rife in all sports. You know,
It is rife in all sports.
should they just allow them
Well,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
think if everyone
Or-
came off them, records would stop being
getting
broken.
broken? Aye.
And
Or
it's
do you think they should?
unfortunate,
Or
but it's
do you
true.
think they should have right? This is the natty cycling, and this is the
The
interest in
But
cycling.
the
Yeah.
interest in cycling
big
will
show.
But
always,
even at
that will
that,
always
like,
be the
so
one that
it's shown that even if there is natural competitions,
People
or
still
not
get away
natural
with it.
competitions,
Oh, definitely.
people
So
do
then-
still like.
yeah.
There's still ways to get by it. A very good. No, there's a guy out there. I'm actually on his page there. More plates, more dates. He puts up a lot of unreal content related to how athletes, like, he tells you how it's possible for some of these athletes to do it, and he uses examples like John Jones, like how he has shown examples to potentially been cycling on and off of performance enhancing drugs. There's other instances as well where it's came out in CrossFit a couple of years back where the guy that took third place tested positive for a couple of performance enhancing drugs, and it's obviously rife in some of the lower levels of the sport. But I would not be surprised if some of the best in the world are on performance enhancing drugs, because I think there's still a phase in CrossFit with its testing where it tests through urine sample, but there's other substances that don't detect through that,
totally.
like blood doping, for example. So the thing that Lance Armstrong get found for was one of the things was EPO,
Yeah.
which is like blood transfusion or
Yeah.
blood doping, basically, where it allows blood to pump through your oxygen, or oxygen to pump through your muscles and pump through your blood a lot quicker, so you're able to kind of move faster and produce more work. Like, what if that's being used in the sport of fitness? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not entirely like outlandish to think that wouldn't be the case, especially now when there's hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, millions if you include sponsorship.
and as well in America, I'll use America as an example. I'm probably assuming UK as well. Actually, is it not very easy to get? Like, if you do a cycle, does your testosterone not reduce or lower? And then if you went and get tested, you would show up as like low testosterone. You could get TRT. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah,
not a lot to do, right?
I
So
know
then
what-
you're
I
like,
know
even though
what
you're
you're
on
talking
that, if your natural testosterone levels go back up and you're on TRT, you're doing it legally, but you're technically still doing
Doing it.
steroids.
See, I don't know enough about it, to be quite honest. And it's just mad. I think there's such a stigma with it as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's almost as if it's bad. And I think it's bad if people are doing it and they're trying to get an advantage. But that's literally what sport is. Sport is marginal gains.
Yes.
You're trying to get a 0.1% advantage over, like, the person next to you, the other person, and whatever. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think that within the next 10 years or whatever, they might make their way into it or something like that. Have you seen the WADA World Anti-Doping
Doping
Agency's
Agency.
list of stuff that's banned?
Mhm.
Like
USADA?
inhalers and stuff, and
USADA?
like
WADA?
Inhalers,
loads of just-
Sudafed,
yeah,
just general
random
over-the-counter
stuff.
Yeah,
that-
totally.
Like, that it's banned that is it really a performance enhancing?
Here's a thing, right? Here's a thing for you. You never normally hear about people being popped for performance enhancing drugs. I don't anyway. Playing football,
No.
like you don't really get that. But then if you think football is probably one of the sports that have some of the largest amounts of money circling through it.
Totally.
Like why? To me, like if there's that much money on the line, like wouldn't you want to recover quicker? Wouldn't you want to be able to work harder? Wouldn't you want to do all of these things? Is it happening within football? And it's just
There's two that I can't think the name of. There's one I only found out about like a few years ago,
That drug.
and I can't remember the name of it. And another one is like makes you like, I can't remember the name of it.
Makes you wet.
Maradona used to take it and stuff like that.
What, coke?
No,
Cocaine?
that and
Cocaine.
and this
What
other-
did Maradona not take
and
for
this other
fuck's
thing.
sake?
But it's no speed. It's like something like speed. I can't remember the name of it. It's been
Just
that
like a
long.
kind of cognitive function.
It's
thing
like,
that,
aye, but that's rife in it. And I
Aye.
know that through being pals years back with pro football players that were taking it. Do you know what I
Aye.
mean? Oh, aye.
Do you know what I
Like,
think about why
it's basically like, it's like a switches you on.
stimulant.
Like stimulant. I can't remember the name yet.
It's not. Is it not Ritalin or
might be something.
modafinil or?
Honestly, it's
Mate,
not a steroid. It's like
Do you know
a
why I
speed
think
type.
it's maybe in football, but different, right? Because I think you can be obviously at the pinnacle of football and stuff. You still need to be a really fit guy or girl or whatever. But football's the type of sport that you can literally be out of shape and be dynamite. Like, how many folk do you know for the scheme that that are really like overweight or maybe not mobile and they're ballers?
Aye, they'll give it
Absolute
football.
ballers. Sit in the centre circle, ping passes,
Aye.
and that's their job. So
Tyson-
maybe
Tyson
so
Fury.
what I'm kind of saying is
Tyson
there's
Fury's
maybe
a
less of a
perfect-
need. There's less of a need for it than in cycling, for example, that is massively taxing.
Tyson Fury's a perfect example. Boxing. You wouldn't say the guy's in shape, but
Brilliant skill, isn't it?
best boxer to
But
do
then
it,
you
man.
look at Icarus, the Russians, they doped everybody bar the figure skaters. Even the curlers were getting doped up. Do you know what I mean? Like, the only people that weren't on a doping protocol was the figure skaters because it made them like
More
too
man.
bulky.
Yeah,
They had too much mass about them, but they doped everyone else. Do you know what I mean? So, like, even like at the end of the day, even if it gives that footballer who doesn't need to be like an athletic god, even though most of them fucking they're fit as fuck. If it's to give them that 1%, and you've got £1 million a week wage on the line,
Yeah. Well, I think as well, like used to rugby, right? You've probably,
hard.
do you know what I mean? Seen it.
Did you say hard?
You've probably seen it, right? And I know, we both know him. I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
Was about 14, 15, prospecting rugby, get moved down south. At this point, just love rugby, right? But he wasn't getting a game, and he was getting older, and he was starting to break into the team. Always on the bench, always on the bench, always on the bench. Everybody was outperforming him in training. Even he was like, "What's going on here?" And then the peers started kind of probing him a wee bit and just kind of getting an easy a wee bit and saying like, "So blah blah blah." Before you know it, they were like, "Right, the reason why you're not playing is because every single one of us are taking steroids." He's like, and that's just true. That's just genuinely the story, right? He's like,
Aye.
oh, aye.
This
And he's
is
like,
mad.
basically, it comes from the peers. The coaches turn their eye to it. They either
They're
don't-
getting results, man.
don't know about it or pretend they don't know about it, but it's the kind of older boys and stuff like that. So before you know it, it's either sit on the bench or take this wee magic pill and you're going to start playing games and you're going to start getting noticed. You're going to start getting paid more money. Sounds very
magical.
appealing, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's
And
that.
this is what happened, and he did, and they started getting games, they started getting more money, and they started playing well.
Yeah, I was actually watching a video. There's a guy I subscribed to on YouTube, and he's predominantly in the CrossFit space, and he talks a lot about performance enhancing drugs and whether they be in sports, recreational, or whatever. Not to condone them in any way. It just makes it. It just puts information out there that isn't otherwise out there unless you dig for it, and he just makes it concise and puts it there. And he's had many examples where he's American and he has people come to him, like from the Marines and things like that, and share their stories and be like, well, you know, the commanding officers would turn a blind eye to us being on testosterone, human growth hormone, like, and it was an insane volumes. But if it was to make them a better Marine, a better soldier, they didn't care.
Yeah,
Like
they
they didn't really care.
Well, I think when it's not in sport, obviously the argument is, right, you're cheating, right? But then apart from that, it's going to give you an advantage and you're going to be happier and you're going to be stronger and fitter. Then it's like, carry on, man. Just take some.
on yourself.
Crack on.
What's your stack?
My stack is D-ball.
Oh,
All the rest of it.
all the rest of
Aye.
it. No, so let's bring this back to something a little bit more fitness related, because that's an episode and a half where we have chatted some amount of shite. So let's bring some value to some people.
We are
and
here to entertain.
We are here to entertain. Aye, absolutely. Are you not?
value in there?
Are you not
There's-
entertained?
That
Are you
seemed
not
to-
entertained?
Did you watch the UFC weekend?
I did, mate. Madness.
So did he?
Madness.
I
Did
did.
you actually
Aye.
watch it?
Aye.
Oh, let's go, Papa.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Oh,
Mate,
it
that
was
was one of the best
got
cards
my
I've
Paul
seen in a
Craig beard.
long
What you
time.
do? What a card.
What a card.
Everybody I wanted to win won.
Yeah.
Should have put fucking money on it.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm well happy to see Paul Craig perform well, man.
How good
Dynamite.
Yeah.
What man takes shots and lets him think? I can't remember who the opponent was. Lets
is,
him
man-
think that he's.
So my game plan was I'm just gonna let myself
Aye.
get punched.
But
Then
here's
the
the
guy
thing.
got a bit complacent. Boom.
Here's the thing, right?
Brilliant.
The amount of times that this has happened in his career where he has been on the back foot,
Yep.
or he has been, on the losing end
Yep.
of fucking, what was it? Who was he was fighting? And it was the last 12 seconds of the third round. He was being dominated the whole fight, and then he popped this guy in a triangle, and there was
1 second to go.
1 second to go, and the guy taps, and he wins the fight, and it's like. It's just fucking, he brings that entertainment.
Yep.
And for that guy to fucking live down the road, man, I think
Yep.
it's class that
Brilliant.
he's now broken into the top. Is he broken into the top 10?
That's a good question. Did have been today? Did have been released with it?
Aye, so I seen a guy from Scotland in the top 10 of UFC in the light heavyweight division, which
Aye.
used to be full of fucking, when I first started watching it, it was full of fucking killers, man, like
Aye.
Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Chuck
Chuck
Liddell.
Liddell, GSP.
GSP was not light heavyweight.
I thought you were just talking about fighters. in
No,
general.
I'm talking
I
about the light
didn't know.
heavyweight division.
Sorry,
Like
sorry.
it used to be stacked with like some of the best to ever do it.
Remember
and then-
Rashid knocking out Chuck Liddell the first time they fought?
Aye, that was mad.
God,
That was mad.
was
Anyway,
unbelievable.
let's bring it back to some value.
Yep, sorry.
Some value. We can talk about that in a second. And one thing I wanted to speak on, and it was requested actually by one of my guys. Shout out Jamie.
Jamie.
It was like mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So we've kind of touched on mindset a couple of times, but we can dive a little bit deeper into it. And there's two kind of different avenues you can go down. You can go down like someone having the mindset to just train, to make a change, to kind of take it a little bit further, or for those to try and have like a little bit more of like a calloused mindset, someone that's actually a lot more focused and determined in what they want to do, try and build, become, whatever it is. So what's your thoughts on like mindset as a whole? I know it's a pretty broad topic, but
It's a broad topic. I mean, I think like anything, you need to train it and you need to look after it. So I believe that your choices will in turn help your mindset as much as your mindset needs to be there first for you to make the choices.
right.
So I believe it, like just like anything, you need to look after it. Like you need to make smart choices.
What are some of the things that you do that
to
like, look
help my
after your
mindset, to keep it strong. So I would say like pushing your kind of comfort zone, not getting not getting too comfortable for like too long with the kind of same things, looking to level up in different ways. It's really great for your mindset, but training in general is good for your mindset. Do you know what I mean? Like being active, moving,
actually doing what you're meant to
doing what
do
you're meant to
in
do
turn
is
helps
good
you.
for your mindset. Like if you have a workout, you go a jog, like you feel your mind's clearer. There's less thoughts running through it. You feel more capable. I feel like when you attack the day, when you turn up, when you train, when you make the right choices with food, you just feel stronger mentally and physically. They go hand in hand. And I just believe it, like the more you can do for yourself that's going to produce positive thoughts. So for example, making actual effort to train every week, making it like just to turn up and do a workout to train, making an effort to actually cook the meal that's going to serve you better instead of just grabbing something that's just processed easy and quick. Nothing wrong with it, but all the time you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to make a bit of smart choices. Actually doing these things kind of builds
So you think,
discipline,
like
strengthens the
action
mindset.
is the actual-
Action is the kind of way I would say to kind of strengthen the mindset. Pushing your comfort zone as well, but make yourself more resilient in the way where if you're scared, for example, to do something, then I think do that thing. Do you know what I mean? Like
Confidence comes after.
confidence comes after the thing, like
Confidence
100%.
does come after
You're
the thing.
scared to do stuff.
Right.
If you want to strengthen your mindset, do the things you're scared of, because that's typically when the majority of growth and mindset's going to come
Happens.
from. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you get two different types, and you can maybe speak on this quite well, Evan, but because I've heard you talk about it before, but you've almost got a growth mindset and you've got a fixed mindset. So some of the people that might come into your program have got like a fixed mindset. So how do you take someone that's got that fixed mindset? They're stuck in their ways. Oh, I'm either out. If I go for a drink, I'm going to drink till I fucking pass out, or if I eat a pizza, I'm going to eat all. Like, those are fixed mindset type of people. Like, how do you take someone from that to more of a growth mindset where they're able to kind of break through whatever issues or problems they're having?
I talk with the guys, and I actually got this from, or I started really kind of speaking about it from Mark Strathern.
Oh, he's not getting a fucking shout out again, is he?
2 shout outs, right? But it's basically, hi Mark. But like, we all as people tell stories, right? And I talk about it all the time. So it's the stories that we tell ourselves, the narratives that we run. I am someone who, no, not me, this is an example. I am someone who
hates the Queen.
Can't control myself when I drink, and I'll just be out all night or whatever. I don't like, I said this in my story last night as well, I don't like veg and stuff. These are all very firm, black and white. I don't like this, I don't do this, I don't do that, right? And the first thing that I get people to do is I get them to learn, or we work together to learn how to identify when they are telling themselves a story. So if you say something, I don't like the gym, I don't like walking, I don't like this, I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. You're telling yourself that. You're making yourself believe that you are that person.
Not all thoughts are true.
I'm fat, I'm not fit, I'm this, I'm that.
Yep. Yep. And then it's about acknowledging that and then putting a strategy in place to maybe do the thing or to start the thing. Or we spoke about scaffolding before.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work that we do in the program is to scaffold things to get them to move into a thought process or a direction that's going to serve them. And it's all about learning. And it's people's relationships with themselves and stuff as well.
Well, because back to I kind of spoke about this, it comes back to awareness. I think it starts with being aware of your thoughts.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Actually be aware of the thoughts you're having, and then befriend yourself as well. So be aware of the negative thoughts. Don't try and stop the negative thoughts, but try and replace them with a more positive affirmation in a way, whether it be instantly or whether it be a point in the day where you give yourself a few affirmations, however you want to do it. But then befriend yourself. So, and I say this is like, would some of the things that you maybe say to yourself or some of the beliefs you have, if your friend was sitting in front of you and saying them, you would try your best to be like, it's fucking bullshit, mate. You can do that thing. Don't be daft. Like, that isn't who you're not that type of person.
Or would you, so
the
the thing I quite like is like, would you tell the person closest to you those things? Like, if you're saying
that's what I mean,
like,
befriend yourself.
I'm never going to be able to do this. It's like, if the person closest to you said, you know, I've got the dream of losing 2 stone, and then if you're sitting there telling yourself, I'll never be able to do that, right? But say you, for example, you come to me and go, I want to lose 2 stone. I go, you never do that. Would you tell someone that? Nah, you wouldn't. So why are you telling yourself
exactly
that? Like, ultimately that's really it. And my kind of thoughts, yourself. My kind of thoughts on mindset are, it's like, both avenues are hard.
Yeah.
Right? Being a fat, lazy bastard is hard because you're fat, you're lazy, and you're a bastard. Right? That is hard, right? Also, being fit as fuck and being in shape, being happy, being not comfortable, but being who you want to be is also hard. So you're going to suffer either way, right? So are you going to suffer in a way that's going to benefit you and those around you? Or are you going to suffer in a way that's ultimately going to just, you know, diminish any kind of good that you've got left in you? Because when you do the things, which we speak about all the time, we should get a t-shirt made, do the things.
Merch.
We should get a merch made, do the things. Ultimately, that does make you happier. Ultimately, that does put you in a position where you're going to be in shape, like who you are, be confident with your top off at the pool, when you're going on holiday with your pals, like all these, whatever, like it doesn't matter what other people think, but it does in a way because it affects us, right? And for people to say that those things don't affect us, they're lying, right? I'm in relatively good shape, but I still worry in the back of my head, like, oh, could I be a little bit fitter? Could I be, you know, a little bit leaner? Could I be this? Could I be that? And it's like, we all have these thoughts, but you're going to suffer either way. So for you to just not do anything, you're going to suffer, but it's going to be a lot worse than if you just suffer in the gym for 45. I made a post about this. It's like, I would rather suffer in the gym for 45 minutes than suffer sitting on the fucking couch doing fuck all. And I think for people trying to improve their mindset or have like the whole David Goggins things out there's a bit on the extreme level. But for me, I just feel like if you're going to suffer anyway, so you might as well use it to your benefit rather than your detriment.
100%, man. Yeah. I think as well, something that I chat about a lot with the guys as well is that people struggle with I don't know, feeling worthy over the result. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are worthy of the result. It's almost like I don't deserve to achieve that. And that's something, that's a mindset that you need, that's a wee thing, a wee internal thing that you need to, you need to work on, you need to flip that.
You need to flip that. And that's where it comes back to the affirmations that I spoke about. Affirmations don't mean you're sitting chanting. An affirmation is like, if that negative thought comes in that you're not worthy or the rest of it, that's a negative thought. You need to watch the thoughts. That's when you just instantly think, like, replace that with, no, I'm fucking worth it, man. I can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it might, as I said, might be instantly, and it should be instantly, but then again, there's nothing wrong with practicing, looking in the mirror at night and going,
because people think that they need others to tell them that they're good, or that they're in shape, or that they're worthy, or that they're that they can do like a big goal or a big target. Like, some people feel like I need you to say that, but they don't. They need to be able to say it to themselves. That's the bigger thing. Like, anyone can, slap your ass, and be like that, blow smoke up your ass and be like that. Look, listen, you can do these things. That doesn't mean anything.
If you don't believe it,
it doesn't mean anything. You have to be able to believe whatever it is that no matter how big or small that thing is. And we've all probably had our own internal battles with those. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all probably have had those.
We're not saying that it goes away and like,
it never goes away.
You're going to get times when you think for a few days, for a week, for 2 weeks, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
if you could listen to the internal monologue in my head, wild. It's mad sometimes.
The one I'm interested in listening to is Danny's. Like, what's going on inside your head? I think it's maybe just monkeys.
Maybe when he puts a hat on, it quietens down.
No, usually it's like, oh, not shut down all night. That's it.
No, but that's it. And we do believe the stories that we tell ourselves, like coming echoing back onto what you said earlier, Evan. So whether that
believe
be,
bullshit or not,
I've done enough this week, so I don't need to train again, or I'm whatever. Like, the chances are, like, I got a question the other day, and it's like, how do you know if you're overtraining or doing too much? I mean, chances are you're not. Right? It takes a lot to overtrain. Now, don't get me wrong, you can be very, very deconditioned to go out and do too much and be fucked.
If you're not getting enough sleep, if your nutrition's shite.
But ultimately, I think people are worrying about the wrong thing. Most of the time, like, do you know what I mean? People are worrying about the wrong thing. Like,
it's like they've been out for 10,000 steps and done one train. Oh, don't worry.
This is when it comes back to the full rep.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to overtrain.
Back to the full rep thing.
I don't want to get too muscly.
Oh, that is a big thing. Like,
do you know how fucking hard it is? See, if it was that fucking easy to get musty, I'd be sitting here massive. It's no easy to get musty. You're not going to lift a weight and just get massive. Calm down.
I mean. But it's probably been said a million times before, but if women are trainers, I don't want to get too bulky. I'm like, listen, I've been trying to get bulky for 13 years.
Waiting for it,
Yeah, I'm trying to get bulky 13 years, so don't you worry. Like, it's absolutely fine. But people coming into, the space for the first time are going to have that, or even people that have been in the space for a while.
Maybe they're making their decisions off the back of things that they don't want, or they do want. Do you know what I mean?
One of the biggest things I see a lot of the time, I'll maybe see it a little bit more than you guys, because you guys might have people who are just kind of starting out or are relatively early in their journey, but I also see a lot of complacency sometimes as well, where people have done the reps, so to speak. People have been through the ups and the downs, and they know what to expect, and they're confident in their training abilities. They know what they should be doing, but then they rest on their laurels. Is that the phrase? Is that the phrase?
It is a phrase. I don't know if it's the right phrase.
But they rest on the work that they've done in the past, and they use that as a crutch, and they think, well, I've been training for 13 years. I know what I'm doing. I don't really know what I need to do anything else, and they become complacent. And that can happen at a really, really early stage as well, because they've just started the gym, and then they go like that. Oh, well, I've been going to the gym for 3 months now, so I should be fucking shredded. I don't know why I'm not. So, like, what can you speak on when it comes to, like, people being complacent, whether that be down the line or at the start of their journey?
I wouldn't say Have you
not really dealt with that? People being
most
complacent?
people, for me, most of the people, pretty much everyone I help, they are putting the work in, but it's just it's not the right, like, they're working out constantly, they're putting the graft in, they've tried the diets, they've tried the fads, but the results don't come. So they're there to put the graft in, like, they're trying, but it's just not the right, there's something missing, or they're not doing this right, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
The intensity's not there, the training plan's not there. I deal with that more. Do you know what I mean? So I say that's like a problem for me, for a lot of people I help, is they are trying to do stuff. They're not being complacent, but when you hear so much again on the internet and you see so much again, this is the problem, because you're doing stuff that you hear and you want to be proactive, but it's just never the right stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I probably deal with it. So quite a lot of the people that I like to think I get quite good results with the guys, right? And a lot of them do go through a kind of massive transformation or whatever. And then out of the tail end of that, there at times is a bit of complacency.
Yeah.
It's because they've done the thing. They've got the result. They've achieved the thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a case of reframing it to them that the work doesn't stop now. Your goals need to change semi-frequently.
So you're telling me that after 6 months, you still potentially need a coach or a PT?
You still potentially need a coach or a PT.
Fucking hell,
and this is
man.
the thing, it's about, because a lot of the time it depends on how we speak about kind of superficial reasons for doing or whatever, for doing training and stuff. Like, people need to have the view firmly in their mind that they're coming into a program like ours or whatever, and this is just going to be their lifestyle. It doesn't stop. The train never stops.
Yeah.
You need to just keep going. You might get off at a station, we're going to get back on.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's important to see. As soon as people accept that, everything gets much easier, because they know that this is constantly. See, like, how often realistically has your training changed in the past 2 years, say?
For me personally,
For you personally?
I feel it's changed pretty drastically, I would say, in the past 2 years.
Okay, that's fair enough. But most people.
Oh, do you mean like in terms of like most people? I get what
Exercise,
you're trying to say.
yeah,
I get what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying
yeah.
to say. No, in that regard, no, it's fundamentally stayed the same.
Yeah,
just my attention.
You do snatches.
Uh-huh.
You do clean and whatever
Yeah, I
you
get what you're
CrossFit
saying.
guys
Aye.
do. Right.
Yeah.
But it stays the same. People get bored.
Right.
Right, because they get bored of, I've been doing the leg press for
No,
8
you're right.
weeks.
It's been the same exercises. It's been the same routine. It's changed drastically in terms of like the intensity and
Yes.
the thingy behind it. But fundamentally, like you're pushing, you're pulling, you're
You're
carrying,
lifting,
you're
you're
lunging,
twisting.
you're
Yep.
twisting, you're doing the fundamental movements. I totally get
There's no
what you're
magic
saying
bean.
there, sorry. Yeah.
It's the same stuff.
Yeah.
Aye, it is.
Get okay with doing the boring work.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, from training plan to training plan, like training an Olympics level athlete or training my mum, the training principles remain the same. The only thing that changes is the degree, if that makes sense. Like, ultimately, like, you're going to teach a high level athlete a squat pattern, a hinge, a press, and you're going to get them as efficient and as strong as you possibly can in those movements.
Yep.
The same way that my mum's had 2 knee replacements, I'm going to be able to try and, or the goal is to teach her to squat, to lunge, to twist, to press, but the only thing that changes is the degree in which it happens. So everybody's training program should be the same, but different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know that's a very, very weird statement to kind of say, but you're right. Like, we're all ultimately doing the same thing. It's just the degree, the intensity, the volume. There is so many different things. Like the same way that you've got, 49 or 52 numbers for the lottery, right? They're all the same numbers, but how many fucking different variations of them?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
You see, to go back to the consistency part, I know I said that. Aye. So anyone on the journey that has been on it long, that's obviously when the complacency can kick in. This is what I've done in the past, is a realign and refocus like type deal.
Right.
So like realign and refocus.
So if you or someone's getting off track,
Realign and refocus.
what does that look like?
So if it would just be like, okay, well, have you achieved your goal? If you've achieved one goal, is there another goal you're wanting to achieve? Do you know what I mean? Most of the time, like I know I don't think I've ever achieved my goal. Do you know what I mean? Which is a good thing, because it's going to keep me pushing and trying harder and keep me engaged.
I think setting goals is sometimes the wrong thing to do.
So you don't always need to set a goal, but you need to realign and refocus on the current goal you're maybe on.
No, but
So this is when you become
I'll
complacent, do you
expand
know what I
on
mean?
that though. So like setting the goal is important. You need a kind of destination, so
You
to
have
speak.
optics and
Yeah,
stuff
you need to know where you're going. But what people should focus on more from a mindset perspective, since we're speaking on mindset, is the habits and the things that get you to that goal.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to I want to earn £1 million, right? You're not just going, I want to earn £1 million, right? That's my goal. No, you do the things.
Focus on the journey, not the destination.
You
type
focus
deal.
on the habits that are going to earn you that, whether
Yeah.
they're habits like email marketing, cold calls, like whatever.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If your goal is to lose 3 stone, your goal is to gain 30 kilos on your back squat, right? What is the habit of someone that does those things, right? Okay, they hit the gym every single day. They are careful and are diligent with their nutrition. They are on point with their sleep and their recovery, right? Those are 3 big habits that if I continue those day in, day out,
Yeah.
that's what's going to get me there. And I think from a mindset perspective, people think big picture on the goal.
Yeah.
Take it back. Think about the actions that get you there, and that's what should hopefully steer you through, you know, the suffering. So to
That's
speak.
good. And I think as well, see even when you have a time of complacency and maybe things start to go off the mark a wee bit and things start to go downhill, I think you're very much, if you've been on it, you're aware when you're not, because you just don't feel as good. Nothing feels right.
But that's also normal, isn't it?
That's normal, but what I mean is then you kind of, I don't know about you, but like when I get to that point, I'm like, I don't like this, man. I don't like not feeling the way I normally feel. So then, and
you feel out of control almost.
And then you kind of, that complacency starts to lift a wee bit, and it's like, okay, man, I don't want to be feeling like this. Do you know what I mean? I know how good I feel when I'm on it, sort of thing. So I think anyone listening that's happened to would agree. Obviously, like you even when you do get away from it, you do maybe get complacent. You're aware that you don't feel as good as you can feel when you're on it, and then that kind of fixes the complacency itself, maybe, because then you're like, I need to get back.
I think you need to just in regards to fitness and whatever, you need to have a kind of bare minimum standard / system that you can just fall back on to kind of then springboard you out of that pocket of
I think that's why where we're at, like, because that's such a brilliant point, and I think we all spoke about this to our guys, where like some people, their minimum standard during the week isn't as high as our minimum standard during the week. So we, all 3 of us, might go out at the weekend with our clients the same way, enjoy the same things, enjoy the same foods and drinks and whatever. But then on the Sunday, our minimum standard could potentially be a lot higher than our client's minimum standard. And then that's the reason why you're able to hold on to your progress, because your minimum standard is like, well, even if I'm hungover, I'm still going to get my steps in and eat 200 grams of protein. Whereas when you've got someone who isn't or doesn't have those standards set, it's fucking all bets are off, and it's just games of bogey, and they'll maybe pick it up Monday, maybe next Monday or Wednesday when they feel a little bit more normal again. You know, so you're totally right in saying that.
I don't remember if it was on the group with my guys, or it was, I don't know when it was, but I was talking about something similar. I was like, if you keep pushing and like remember, realign it and set your intentions at the start every week, you start to set a new standard for yourself. Your standard becomes higher and higher and higher and higher.
Like,
totally. It's not, it's variable. You know, much like people's energy prices. Fucking, we need the tinfoil half of that one next week. Anyway, that was cool. That was fun.
Good. Yes.
You enjoyed that? Cool. So we'll be back next week for another episode of No Rep Podcast. I've been your host, Jordan, and see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.